Planet Dolan. From filling an auditorium with water to selling kittens at a grocery store, the Planet Dolan crew reenact some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the most ridiculous suggestions customers have ever had. I'm Zaraganba and today I'll be your narrator. Number 10 was submitted by AGrimFate. When she was 15, Froggy worked at a convenience store. After she turned down a perverted old man for the 60th time, he walked up to the manager and said, "You need to fire all your other employees and make the uniform into skimpy bras and underwear." Her boss just looked at him as the guy gave Froggy a wink and said, "I'm looking out for you, honey." Her boss rung him up and said, "Sorry, I like my employees and would never sexually harass them. More so that underage girl." Number 9 was submitted by 880 Disney Freak. Sid worked at a theatre as an actor, and when he was in a production of Peter Pan, an audience member came up to him after the show and said, "I think you should have filled the auditorium with water for the mermaid scene. It would have made it more believable." The person was completely serious, without even a sign of sarcasm in their voice. Number 8 was submitted by Hyena Cub. Melissa worked as a server for many years, and once had a woman who told her that they needed to use real eggs for their scrambled eggs. When Melissa told her they did, the woman was not convinced. She kept telling her to make sure the cooks used real eggs, not the powdered stuff, because she knew the powdered stuff they used was left over from military rations from World War II. Even when Melissa went back to the kitchen, she watched the cook crack 2 real eggs onto the grill and scramble them. But the woman was sure she was still trying to pawn off those old World War II powdered egg rations on her again. Number 7 was submitted by KILLDOZER688. Salty Squid worked as a cleaning assistant at a zoo where visitors are handed small questionnaires that they can fill out to provide feedback. One of the questions is, what would make your visit better? Some people wrote down that they wanted the animals to move around more and hide less, and even suggestions for new animals such as bears, elephants and dolphins. The zoo was only 50 acres, so they would need a lot more space for those animals. One visitor even asked for dinosaurs. And of course, there was that one visitor who asked for better looking people at guest admissions.
Number 6 was submitted by OhYarnIt.
While shopping for yarn in a craft store, Andy overheard another customer, an old lady, telling an employee they needed to carry more sexy fabrics. When the employee asked what she meant by sexy fabrics, the woman said, "You know, fabric with sexy printed people on it. All that shiny leather looking stuff." The old lady had a good attitude and was really cheerful, so the employee just laughed and said, "Check back in a week or so." Andy doesn't know what the lady wanted to make, but she still bought fabric that day. Number 5 was submitted by Celestial Loves. Doopy was working at a supermarket when a little girl walked over to her checkout line. She asked, "Where are the kittens? Mummy said I could get one if I could find the section where the kittens are." Doopy laughed, but the little girl just stared at her until she realized she was being serious. She tried to explain to the little girl that it was a grocery store and that they don't have kittens, but then the girl started crying. She accused Doopy of lying and said that the store had claimed to have kittens and that she should not lie about it. Then the little girl's mum walked over and started yelling at Doopy for making her daughter cry. Doopy tried to explain, but the mother yelled, "Well then, get kittens," and said she was never shopping there again. Number 4 was submitted by SmudgeyDuck. One time when Colin was in a general store with his mum, he heard someone yelling at the person behind the counter to stop selling paper because it could be used as a murder weapon. Colin and his mum just ignored him. But that night, he ended up having a nightmare where someone slit his throat with a piece of paper. They went back the next day because they forgot to get milk, and the customer was still there. But this time he was yelling about them selling little fruit cups. For about a month, the man was in the store every time they went. Number 3 was submitted by XXCrystalGlitzzzXx. Pandora was working at Walmart one day when a customer came up to her and asked, "Can you stop making Kit Kats? My son is allergic to them and every time we come in he wants them. But he has to go to the hospital after eating them." Pandora had to explain for 15 minutes that they didn't make the Kit Kats, and couldn't stop selling them because one person is allergic. So whenever Pandora sees the customer with her son, they take the Kit Kats and hide them from people. Number 2 was submitted by DERPY Hooves, 1987. Back when Civil Spider worked at a supermarket, one customer wanted to buy roasted peanuts in the shell. Then the customer proceeded to ask if they had roasted peanuts in the shell without the peel. After explaining that in order for the peanuts to be peeled, they had to be removed from the shell, she then suggested that they needed to breed them in a way where they grow without the peel and the problem would be solved. After staring at each other for a few seconds, Civil Spider got saved by the bell as he was being called up front to help cashier. To this day, he still remembers how ludicrous that suggestion was. Number 1 was submitted by me. For a little while in high school, I worked in an electronics shop. One afternoon I had a guy come in and he was asking about a chipset that could help him identify UFOs. I explained that I wasn't aware of such a chipset and that perhaps the detection mechanisms that we were currently using were not of an adequate spectrum to capture UFOs successfully. He agreed that was probably an issue and in fact wanted to sell me a brand new chipset that would detect UFOs successfully. I told him that sounded like a wonderful idea and that he should talk to my manager about it. I watched as the guy went over to my manager, barely suppressing a laugh knowing how ridiculous that conversation would be. A huge thanks to the folks over in our Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. We have another question for you. What's the worst advice you've ever given? Let us know in the Reddit page linked below and you might be featured in a future countdown.
This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys.
Well, that's it for this countdown, but catch you guys next time.